Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I am Randy from randypierce.com. Thank you so much for joining me for this pop-up webinar, From Small to Significant: Awaken Your Soul's Calling and Gain the Courage to Live the Life you know is meant for you. This free webinar is for women coaches, consultants, creatives, and spiritual entrepreneurs who feel a deep soul calling to something much bigger in life, but they're just not sure how to get there or how to start or how to overcome their fears. And I would so greatly appreciate it if you would share this webinar. If you're here live, go ahead and hop on over to Facebook, to my Facebook fan page, which is Randy Pierce Fan. Go ahead and scroll down just a little bit and click, find this post where I've mentioned the pop-up webinar. Click share on that post, please, and share it with your people. This webinar, again, is for women coaches, consultants, creatives, and spiritual entrepreneurs. Women who are soulfully driven. They just need help with the practical stuff. Maybe it's mastering the business. Maybe it's overcoming their fear. I would greatly appreciate it if you would share this with your people. Thank you. You can even share the replay if you're listening to the replay. Just go ahead and look for the share buttons where you find this replay. Ultimately, today has been kind of an interesting day. I don't know if anyone else is feeling it, but there's something about today's energy. I woke up in the middle of the night, I don't know, about 4 a.m., and I've actually read other posts from other women in the community who sort of woke up and had sort of an odd day. It's not a bad day. It was just a little odd. And so I woke up in the middle of the night and I was, my dog wasn't really feeling all that well. She had an upset tummy. So I was tending to her, and I had the greatest level of clarity on my soul purpose and my life purpose and my calling from here on out. And I just had this information downloaded. Has anyone had one of those divine downloads? Let me know in the chat box. Has anyone had one of those downloads where you get mass amounts of information and massive clarity, and you feel a soulful awakening that maybe you haven't felt before? And so one of the things that I wanted to talk about today was that I want you to know that ultimately, if you're feeling something call you, I'm going to do my best to support you in helping you understand that information and overcome your fears and really embrace it and step into it. I know that transforming and changing your life can be very intimidating, but I don't want it to be, especially in the very beginning. I know that it can be pretty scary, but I just want you to ultimately know that there is a way for you to step into your purpose and really awaken so much that is available to you if you do just a few things. And I'm hopefully going to help you with that. So let's go ahead and dive into the content. By the way, if you're joining us live via web, you can go ahead and type in questions, comments, engage with me, because that's what I really like. I really like when you give me answers, or you give me, a heck yes, or no, that doesn't work for me, or yes, I'm feeling this way, because then I know how better to support you. So if you want to engage with me and you're joining us online, go ahead and make sure that you've got the chat box open, and feel free to write any questions, make any comments there. Ultimately, I want to help you identify what you really want, awaken a soul's calling, something deep inside of you, and I'll lead you through some exercises to do that. I also want to help you awaken your inner courage and strength. I want to help you awaken your inner courage and strength. Because I'll be honest, this is not, listen, people who achieve greatness in life felt like you at some time, right? They were afraid to step up. They were afraid to step out. they knew at some level something deep about their life was going to change. And actually, I have a client who is really wrestling with the next level of her life because it directly affects her daughter and her husband. And while I'm single, so I have it easy in that I don't have to consider anyone else, I can comprehend what that really feels like, being in a relationship, being in a marriage, or having children that you have to consider, and how disruptive that can be as you step into your soul's calling. Of course, on the flip side, I also know what it's like to be stuck in your life and to feel that continual instinct in your soul, something, a draw, a pull, a force, and feeling like you can't fulfill it. Because I'll be honest, that stinks and it's painful, and I don't want you to be there. So I'll also help you with taking your first steps away from struggle or away from that stop point where you may be. And I want to help you step into bliss and ease and joy and flow. Last but not least, I want to help you just map out your first few steps and your plan of action from here. Now that will require you to engage with me in the chat box so that I can help you directly. If you're joining us by phone, you'll need to join us via web for you to actually engage with me in the chat box. So if that's an option that's available to you right now, I highly recommend joining us via web. So thank you so much, Anna, for sharing with your people. I appreciate you. Thank you, Lisa, for sharing. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Okay. So first, here, actually, before I go any further, grab a pen and paper, because I'm going to lead you through some exercises. These are the exact same exercises that I have at times in my life completely changed everything. And I'll tell you a little bit about my story in case you don't know me, so that you have some context and some understanding about, yes, I've really been through this, and yes, I've been stuck, and yes, I've had that deep soul calling, and yes, I've felt like the world was against me, and I had no clue how to create the life that I desired. So I will help you, from my own personal experience, understand everything that I experienced on my journey, and hopefully that will help you. So grab a pen and paper in case, things come up for you, or you want to just go ahead and journal along as we go through this information. Here's the deal. I want you to take a look at 2015, and I want you to ask yourself what was really painful. If you can think about maybe one or two instances that were really painful for you, just go ahead and write that down. Like you felt, maybe I'll give you an example from my own life so that you have some sort of context. One of the things that I've always struggled with is feeling confined and constricted and controlled by my family. I've always felt different from them. I completely act different. I completely think different. I'm definitely biologically theirs, but that's as far as it goes. And I had some instances over the last several years where I'm basically working through all the family stuff that I didn't address when I was younger. And in 2015, there was an incident with my grandmother. And it was that moment where I literally felt she was trying to control me. She was trying to manipulate me. And I sort of pushed back, because I was breaking the family pattern. And lo and behold, right? Lo and behold, there was this big blowout, and she threatened to disown me and all this other stuff. And in that moment, it was pretty painful. And I had a moment where I thought, this is really hurtful, because my grandmother was such an influential part of my life, especially in my younger years. But as I continue to step into my soul's calling, it is obvious that my family does not have the capacity to support that. And I've come to a place in my life where I have had to make a choice. And I did make a choice just recently. And that was, I chose me. Now, for me, that meant completely breaking away from them. I actually haven't spoken to them in several weeks. And it hurts. And that may or may not apply to you. Julie says yes. I totally get that. Awesome. So what I want to help you understand in this moment, especially for people, for those of you, especially for the women here in this community, listen, you're special. I'm going to tell you right now, you're special. You have a special capacity. You have a special calling that goes beyond average, that goes beyond status quo. You cannot afford to play small anymore. You cannot. I don't care what your age is. You're not here forever. This is just one lifetime. You have one go at this one lifetime in this way, with this purpose and these tools and this capacity and a desire from your spiritual self that literally put you here physically on the earth. This is a challenge. This is a calling. This is a life path that you called yourself to. Now, what you do with that is completely up to you. But I also know that because you're part of the randypierce.com community, you're special and you have extraordinary capacity to turn your life into a global message that positively impacts the people around you. You do not have time to play small. You do not have time to be scared. The time for being scared is over. We're done with that. From this moment on, I want you to take a look at that piece of pain from 2015, right? Maybe it's 1 or 2 or 3 instances where you literally felt like you were going to crawl out of your skin. Like every cell in your body, especially something deep down in your soul, was screaming, no, I'm not going to do this anymore. I am not going to do this anymore. I am not going to allow myself to be stopped or controlled or constricted or confined by myself or anyone around me. I want you to be able to look at something, and maybe it wasn't in 2015, maybe it was 5 years ago, but you're still struggling with really tapping into that thing of, this is so painful, I am never going to do this again. I am never going to go through this again. I will never allow myself to be put in this situation again. And I'll be honest with you, no family is healthy. No family is, completely 100% emotionally healthy or physically healthy or spiritually healthy. Our family can be great teachers. They can also be our great training ground. I know for me, I'm a life coach because I had my training ground in my family. Just to give you a little bit of backstory, I was definitely an entrepreneur through and through. I was definitely independent. I thought for myself. I had a very strong will. I had a very strong desire to create my life the way that it worked for me. And that meant going against everything that I had been raised to believe or had been pushed to create in my life, because everything that I had been taught didn't work for me. So I was constantly struggling between, do I follow what's right for me, and how do I even do that? Because I don't have anybody around me that can show me how it's done. I didn't grow up with friends or family members who were life coaches and big thinkers and new age thinkers. They were all stuck in struggle and pain and limitation and suffering. So for me, my family was a great training ground to learn how to create the life that I wanted, because no one in my family knew how to do that. And I was determined not to end up in that same place. So from this experience of pinpointing a seriously painful place that either happened in 2015 or in some time in your life where every cell, including your soul, something deep, 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 deep in your soul said, this is not the life I'm here to live. This is not something I enjoy. I cannot go through this anymore. And if you feel like sharing, I encourage you to share it in the chat room. Let me know what that experience is so that I can better serve you and support you in this process. And if you don't want to share it, that's cool too. I understand. Sometimes it can be really personal. But here's the great thing about pain. It can help you see what you really do want. And it's sometimes very easy for us to lose track of what makes us happy. And it's very easy for us to not know what we really want in life if we're not feeling some pain. So the great thing about pain is that it awakens the contrast of what you do want. What you don't want to do is do everything because you're in a place of pain. Let me clarify that. There are only ever two things that motivate you to do anything in life. And this is human nature. There are only ever two things. Number one, avoid pain, or number two, go into pleasure, into happiness. You only ever do anything in your life from one of those two places, pain or pleasure. Now, coming from a place of having a piece of an experience that's painful, that helps you say, I don't like this. This is painful. And when you really dive into understanding what is it about that situation that's so deeply painful on a soul level to you, is the blessing, because in that moment you get down and dirty into who you are and what you need and what you require. I'll repeat that again. The pain allows you to really awaken what you do need and what you require for your well-being. Now, if you're a member of this community, you know how it works. You know you're a creator. You know that you're here to create your world. But a lot of us are doing that not so intentionally. So we're just going through our days, right? Not really being intentional about our energy or our time. And then that ends up creating patterns that ends up, getting us into situations that are painful. And then once that pain hits, boom, then the piece of clarity hits. So what I want you to do is take that piece of pain, and I want it to become your driving force moving forward. And it has to be something that you are done with. It has to be something that you have literally said, I am not doing this anymore because it's too painful. I don't want to go through it anymore. I don't want to be stuck. I don't want to be broke. I do not want to feel this pain anymore. The pain literally becomes your driving force, and that helps you fuel not only the clarity of what you do want, but it also gets your butt in gear to do what you need to do in order to create what you do want. Does that make sense? So thank you, Anna, for sharing that. Anna says, one thing that's coming up for me is I will never again sacrifice my greatness to save someone else from having to face their own shadows. Amen. Amen. I will never again let anyone make me feel small and unworthy. Amen. You know that you are meant for something much greater. You know it. So the question is, why aren't you living it? What's stopping you? What's really stopping you from, here's an idea. Here is a total mind job. What if you just gave yourself permission to create the life that you really wanted without suffering, without struggle, without constriction, without pain along the way? What if you simply gave yourself permission to unfold gracefully and effortlessly and in divine love everything that you wanted? I'm just curious, tell me in the chat box, do any of you remember at any time being told you can't have what you want? Do any of you remember that? You can't have what you want. You can't have that. You can't have more. If you get it, then I won't have it. And if you have too much, then I'll go without, or other people will go without. Have any of you heard that at any time? Do you remember that? This is one of the things that has really sort of allowed me to take a look at, my pain point, which my pain point for me is family, because I've always felt so different from them. And I didn't ever really realize until I gave myself permission to go back to those, those times in my childhood. You can't have what you want, you spoiled brat. Has anyone been called a spoiled brat? Anna says she heard it. Anna, you heard that you can't have what you want. And here's the thing. We know that that's not true. And unfortunately, Bruce Lipton, by the way, is a great resource. He's a great resource. He's a former biological scientist, so he understands the biology of your physiology and how your mind and plays into the physiology of your, Julie says you love him. Yeah, I do too. One of the things that he wrote, I can't remember the book because I've read so many of his books, but one of the books that he wrote, he talked about most of what we do as adults, 95% of what we do as adults is, let me rephrase that because I think I just butchered it. Most of what we do as adults is based on patterns and beliefs that were set in our childhood before the age of 5. 95% of what we do is based on experiences and patterns and beliefs that we developed before the age of 5. Now think about that. I don't know about you, but I do not want my 5-year-old self running the show here, because I know what kind of little girl I was when I was 5. And I know what kind of environment I was in at that time. And that 5-year-old little girl will only create more stuff I don't want. So it's really important to pay attention to how you're operating, how you're feeling. Lisa says, I like that picture. Yes. As a matter of fact, Lisa, I would bet that most of your fear is coming from that little girl. It's not who you are right now. Julie says she just finished reading Joe Dispenza's Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. Ooh, that sounds good. I haven't read that. So I want you to pay attention to where you are, to the pain that you have recently felt and what that brings up for you, because I will be honest, you will have to go through your stuff. I was going to say you will have to go through your stuff before you break free. And I will be honest, you have to have a fire in you that fires you up so deeply you will not quit. You will not stop. You will not turn away from all of that stuff that you have avoided up until now. You're going to have guts. You're going to have courage, and you're going to have to keep going. Just just a little bit of backstory on what's happened since I really awakened my fire, and it was August of 2014. You know, I've been an entrepreneur since 1990. 1991. I started my first business in 1991, long before the internet. Ran myself ragged, you know, with a brick and mortar business. I hated it. But then when the internet came along, I was like, this is great. And I remember hearing a message, a very clear message: you will make your first million online. I remember hearing that. Does anyone else have something inside of them that, you know, guides them? Do you hear voices, or do you feel a nudge? Do you have an intuition, sort of like an inner guide that speaks to you? Julie says yes. Lisa, is that a yes for you too? So when I heard that message, you will make your first million online, I thought, well, I better get online. So I went and got certified as a web designer, left my corporate job for the very last time, and started making $50 an hour. And then I went to $75 an hour. And then I went to $125 an hour as a web designer and developer. I was pretty happy, but I really wasn't working with the clients that I wanted to, because I was still stuck in scarcity mode. So I wasn't asking for enough money. I wasn't attracting the right clients. And I wasn't really capable at that time at working at a level that I needed to make, you know, really good money. So I was better off, but I was still missing something. So in 2008, by that time I was broke. I had about $100 left to my name. I was almost $100K in debt, and I was living in my mom's spare bedroom. And I knew I had to do something drastic. Number one, I knew that I wasn't going to die. I knew that that was not the life, that was not my divine destiny. And I've said this before, I knew it was not my divine destiny to die with no money left to my name and $100K in debt. I knew that that was not my destiny. I've always had a very clear understanding that my purpose was much bigger than what I could even comprehend. So I got busy, and I simply said, I'm going to become a life coach. I didn't realize it now, but you know, that was part of my purpose. I just was following my instinct. Became a life coach, and within 2 weeks, I attracted my first $5,000 client when I had not made $5,000 the entire previous year. I mean, it was really sort of a freak thing. And when that happened, I was like, whoa, how did I just do that? And why did I go through all of that suffering and all of that struggle for the last couple of years when all I had to do was intend that I was going to become a life coach and do it and post up a simple website, announce that I was life coaching, have a single package that a client purchased that was $5,000. Now, when that happened, there was so much ease and so much effortlessness in that process of, I'm going to be a life coach. I want to do a $5,000 package. Here's what I'm going to offer. Here are the results that I'm going to focus on delivering for my clients. And that's the way it's going to be. So I want to ask you, where can you in your life right now come to that same level of clarity and courage and just do it? I didn't make $5,000 with one client in 2 weeks, my first month as a coach. I wasn't even certified. I had never been a life coach before, although, you know, my family was pretty good practice. But I wondered, you know, when I really deconstructed everything that happened in that, guess what? I was the driving force behind that happening. I knew what I was going to do. I knew what I wanted to do, and I simply did it. So I want to ask you, what is it in you that right now, something inside of you is driving you to do or be something right now? I want you to go ahead and type it in the chat box if you feel like sharing. Anna says, I have a very strong vision of where I feel I'm heading in this life and what my purpose is in this world. That's awesome. Do you feel like sharing it? What is calling you? What feels like your next best step? And why the hell aren't you doing that? Why are you making it so complicated? Make it super easy. Make it super authentic. Just follow the instincts that you feel called to do. So Julie says, I am very clear on my purpose. Awesome. So Julie, what is that? Do you want to share? And where are you in that process? So Lisa says, helping and supporting people in a gentle and loving way. Great. Anna says, I'm inspired by the world I want to live in. Yes, absolutely. So Julie says, coaching to find purpose and true happiness, living a life of their design. So make it super simple. Where do you feel called to do? What do you feel called to do? Where is your soul leading you? And for heaven's sake, just do it. Because I got to tell you something, your divine destiny, although I believe that spiritually speaking, we have a very pretty good understanding of what we're getting ourselves into when we come here, right? We have a pretty good understanding. It's not like we come here completely blind, like a fish out of water. Spiritually speaking, we come here with a pretty darn good idea of what we're getting ourselves into because we have been intimately involved in the details of this life. And I have to be honest with you, if you don't deal with those challenges that you gave yourself, and I don't want to say challenges like they're a bad thing, because ultimately you know you're a creator and you know that you can conquer anything that you set your mind to. And, your purpose here in this life is simply to help your body be more connected to your spiritual self so that your spiritual self can guide you through the easiest, most authentic, most abundant path to what it is that you wanted before you even got here. I know that's sort of a long explanation. But if this is something that you gave yourself to accomplish, there is absolutely no reason why you should be making it complicated. There's absolutely no reason why you should be delaying this. Because if you don't do it in this lifetime, you're going to have to do it in the next, or the next, or the next, or the next. I don't know about you, but I feel like I have been through this enough. I have been through situations where I'm just like, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm done struggling. I'm done fighting. I want it to be easy. I want it to be true. I want it to be pure. I want it to flow. I want it to be fun. And I want to play. Let me ask you this. Who is ready? Who is done working? Who is done working? Who is done struggling? Who is done delaying? Done. Let's make this easy. You are a spiritual being with such great power to create anything you want in life. It doesn't have to be, let me stick with the light stuff. Why not just make this fun and easy? Why don't you learn how to play? That's awesome, Anna. Anna says, I'm here to have fun. Yeah. Work is something that we've been conditioned to do. It's not who we really are. So I want you to pay attention moving forward here. anytime you feel like you are on your path and nothing's really moving and nothing's really changing, or you feel like quitting, I want you to go back to that pain point of something that happened that fires something up so deep in you that you are like, we are not freaking doing this ever again. I think for me, one of the things that happened, one of the big things that shifted for me in August of 2014, which is when I decided, and I'll talk about decision in a minute because it's important. But August 2014, there was a coaching program that I wanted to join. It was about $1,000 a month, and I couldn't afford it because I was just sort of coasting. I was just sort of treading water in my business. I knew that there was a next level of my soul's calling for me to express and step into, but I didn't quite know what that was, and I didn't know what to do, and I didn't know how to get it, and I didn't know how to get more clear, and I wasn't honestly all that motivated. It wasn't until I wanted to travel. I mean, there was a time, I remember several times in 2014, I'm a traveler. Who else is a traveler? Who likes to travel? I know a lot of us do in this community. Yeah, everyone's saying me. I hate it. I go stir crazy when I cannot travel. And like it really messes with my head. It messes with my mojo. If I can't travel, I am just not a happy girl. I have to travel the world, and it actually makes me feel more connected. It's weird. I don't know why that is, but I can go across the globe and run into people that I know the universe has put in my path. Have you ever had experiences like that where you've been traveling and whatever, the car driver or the taxi driver or the waiter at the restaurant or the person, you know, that you're standing next to at the hotel desk, right? You run into people that you know the universe brought you two together for mutual benefit. It is the most beautiful thing in the world, and I love it when that happens. And I only feel that way when I'm out traveling the world, which is ironic because I tend to be pretty much of a homebody and pretty much of an introvert. So there are times when I often feel conflicted. You know, do I go out or do I stay home, or I don't feel like traveling, or I don't feel like dealing with security or whatever. I mean, ultimately, I hate standing in line at security, and I hate waiting to board the plane, and, you know, I hate all of that. So it would be great if I could just fly charter all the time. That would be great, private plane. But I have to be honest with you, when I'm not able to live my soul's calling, I go a little stir crazy, and it really doesn't work for me. So when that happened in August of 2014, I hadn't traveled at all that year. And I was really feeling like I cannot do this anymore. I cannot do this anymore. So that awakened a deep enough pain in me where I got my ass going. And I'll be honest, in the very beginning, you're going to have to hustle your ass off. I will not sugarcoat it, because you will have to push yourself. You will have to go beyond what you believe yourself capable of doing. Invisibility is such a huge thing for so many of us. It's that temporary discomfort of stepping out and being visible and putting yourself out there and all of the things that come along with that. But that's why I wanted, in the very beginning of this call, to awaken something in you that was so freaking painful. You are done doing that. You are done putting yourself into situations like that. Because it's that pain that will drive you through the discomfort of becoming more visible, of stepping out of your comfort zone, of becoming a greater capacity to become a channel for your divine work. All of that will take work on your part. However, the good news is that once you start doing that, once you start expanding, once you start stepping into your soul's calling, once you step into the path that you intended, spiritually speaking, before you got here, things start flowing a lot easier. It doesn't mean that you won't have moments where you're feeling the stretch. I know I feel that way when I invest in a coach. Last year, 2015, I invested $14,000 into a coach. And that was the most I'd ever done. And in that moment, it was, oh my gosh, can I do this? Can I do this? So there will be moments when you have to stretch yourself, but it does get a little bit easier. However, in the beginning, you will have to hustle your ass off. And I mean that in the most divine way. I just mean that you're going to have to do more than you think you're capable of. Does everyone understand that? So, is everyone clear about what is calling you? Is everyone clear? Go ahead and let me know in the chat box with a yes or a no, or type in your question if you have a question. You're here to live your soul's calling. Anything less than that is bullshit. Anything else is bullshit. So the only thing that matters for the rest of your life, however long you're here for, is stepping into that soul's calling and stretching yourself. And I talk a lot about expansion, because ultimately the more life you let through you, the more life force you let through you, the more money will come to you, the more clients will come to you, the more information will come to you, the more clarity will come to you. I want to invite you to practice allowing more in and letting more out, and really feel sort of like, if you can imagine energy coming up through your feet and up through your root chakra and all the way through the rest of your chakras out the top of your head. If you can imagine sort of like a stream of light or a stream of energy, just practice imagining that stream getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Because I think for most of you, listen, if you're not making the money that you want and you are not attracting the clients that you want, that stream is a trickle. It's like you're barely letting enough divine force in you right now to get anywhere, to pay your bills. I literally want you to imagine that stream that runs through you, and it's this beautiful force. Listen, you don't have to control it. You only have to allow it. And I don't want to get graphic here, but if you could literally imagine yourself, well, I am going to get graphic, so here we go. If you can literally imagine yourself, what you're like when you have sex. Do you really let someone in? Do you really let them in? Do you really, throw your legs up in the air and say, have at it? Or are you concerned about how you feel, or worried about if you don't look attractive, or feel fat, or jiggly, or what is going through your mind in the moment that you're having sex? Because sex is such this beautiful expression of what it really means to allow someone literally inside you. It's just like that. Let life force flow through you. Express it. Let it come to you. Let it do its thing, without feeling like you're damaged or constricted or concerned about just inconsequential things. It literally is anything in life: sex, relationships, business, money. It is literally about letting this life force flow through you. And I'm sorry if I freaked a couple of you out. Maybe I didn't freak any of you out, because I don't ever talk about that, but it literally is just like that. And it's easy for us to understand what we're like when we're having sex. Are we, or are we, let's go, babe? Stephanie says, I'm officially freaked out. How much life force are you letting in you? How much life force are you letting flow through you? How much money are you circulating out into the world? How much money are you allowing to come back to you? How much life force are you allowing to flow through you? Okay. So one last thing that I want to talk about, and then we'll get into these last couple of topics here, these last couple of bullet points. Decision. I want you to decide right now, and I want you to share it with me in the chat box. I want you to share this in the chat box for me. What are you done with? What are you ready to let go of? Here's the reason why I'm asking you this. Anytime I've ever made a change in my life, it's because I'm done with something. I don't mess around with it. I don't futz around with it. I don't commiserate on it. When I'm done with it, I let it go and I move on, and that's how I make changes very quickly. Change is actually very easy for me because I'm a Gemini and I'm an air sign, and I actually thrive on change. It's when I'm stuck that screws me up. So Julie says, I'm done dragging my feet. I want you to write that down, Julie. I am done dragging my feet. So the next time, whatever, you have to create a sales page, or you have to pay somebody to do your website, or you have to, whatever, have courage to ask someone if they want to coach with you. I want you to look at that statement. This is a promise that you are making. And literally, this is a promise that you are making. This is a decision to cut away anything that is no longer serving you. And you literally let it go like a bad boyfriend. Or whatever, a house that you're not in love with, or, negativity from others. Absolutely, Julie. So I want you to write that down, and I want you to keep it handy, because ultimately this is you making a promise to yourself. And I want you to promise, honor this decision that you've made to live your soul's calling, to step into your divine potential, to become the woman and the being that you know you came here to be. The spiritual you already knows all of this. You've got to get your head on board. And that's why I'm asking you to write down a lot of this stuff, because it literally is just letting the brain know this is the way it's going to be from now on, honey. Okay, so Julie says negativity from others. You're done with negativity. Stephanie says, I'm done with mediocrity. Lisa says, I'm done holding myself back because of the reactions of other people and their limitations. Yes, and I would also say you can continue to use that, Lisa, to find out where you're holding yourself back. Because remember, everyone is a mirror. I did not release my family until I went through every frickin' layer of where am I doing this to myself, and where am I doing this in my life. All of that shit that was directed at me, I had to ask myself, where is this inside of me that's doing this? It's not always about other people are messing me up. It's about looking at your environment and being able to say, where am I not happy? Where am I experiencing pain? Where am I feeling limited or constricted? And where is this inside of me that has to shift in order to let this go? Okay? You literally decide, you cut away any other option. Let me ask you this. How many of you are ready to live your soul's calling like there is no other option? There is no other option but for you to be happy. How about that? There is no other option except for you to live in a way that allows you to fulfill your deepest desires, the things that are rightfully yours as a spiritual being. Make it that there is no other option. cut away any other path. The only one that exists from here on out is living my soul's calling and allowing more life force through me. Where is it, how can I expand? How can I be more? How can I receive more? How can I serve more? How can I experience more happiness? Okay. Okay, so the last 2 steps here. We'll do these really quick. So your first steps from here really come down to, what you need to do from here. Have you been avoiding getting paying clients? Do you need to be a little more visible in your marketing to get more clients? And I use that word get loosely, right? Because I'm not about that. It really is. Oh, let's touch on this real quick here. I want you to look at supply and demand in a completely different light. I did this in my master class recently, and everybody was like blown away. So I'm going to share this here real quick. Here's the thing. Understanding how universal energy works, I want you to look at supply and demand completely different. And this applies to getting clients, making sales, expanding your business. So bear with me here. And if you want to read more on this, Osho would be a good source. Rumi would be a good source. I'm trying to think of who else. I don't know anybody else who really talks about this. So here's what I want you to think about. No demand goes unmet. No demand goes unmet. Now this applies to you because no desire goes unmet. If you have the desire, the capacity to fulfill it exists. No demand goes unmet. So whatever you need to get where you want to go already exists. However, it's waiting for you to actually say, this is what I need to move forward. And being open to receiving that. No demand goes unmet. Now this applies to your client because your client has desires as well. They have desires, whatever it is for them, and however it applies in your unique niche, right? They have desires of their own. They have things that they want to accomplish in this life, and you are here to help them with that. No demand goes unmet, which means you become the source that helps them get their desires met. Does that make sense? Okay. So where supply is concerned, no supply goes underutilized. No supply goes underutilized. This is truth because nothing in the universe exists without mutual benefit. I'll say that again. Nothing in the universe exists without mutual benefit. So where your clients have a demand, listen, they're going to get that demand met in some form. But what would be really great is if you, as the supply, you're the service provider, simply become the answer to their demand. No supply goes underutilized, which means that you, as the business owner, cannot create enough programs, enough products, enough services, enough ways to serve your clients, the people who need you. You cannot create enough stuff to help them. No supply goes underutilized. When you become a channel for your soul's calling, the life force behind that is never ending. It's infinite. It becomes a force so big that you will constantly have to push yourself to be more, to expand more, to give more, to receive more, to become a bigger, more divine, more pure channel for the demands of your community to be met. Does that make sense? Does anyone have any questions about that? I want you to look at supply and demand completely different. And this applies to marketing. This isn't about marketing or getting in front of people or being the loudest voice. I mean, that kind of irritates me. We all know what that is, right? We get into, we've all been in Facebook groups where we're just like, oi, that chick needs to, tone it down a little bit, right? They're fighting to be heard. You don't need to fight to be heard. You only need to tune into what is true for you. Share messages that are authentic to you. Talk about your emotions. Talk about your pain points. Talk about your successes. Because in doing that, you are bringing light to the message that is yours, that will activate the clients that want to work with you. They're just waiting for you to step up. Supply and demand really is ultimately a universal law that allows everybody to succeed and thrive. So put marketing, in your little mental note, put marketing under divine supply and demand, because it's all energetic. No demand goes unmet, no supply goes underutilized. Just remember that. Your only job is to become a bigger, bolder, more pure channel for divine information to come through. Does that make sense? So what I want you to do for mapping out, so that relates to the first steps that you have to take from here. The first steps that you have to take from here really comes down to, how do I communicate my message in the most authentic way? In as many places, listen, in August of 2014, I was basically unknown. I mean, I had a great community, and there were a lot of women who had worked with me several times over the previous several years. So I had enough clients to pay my bills, which was nice, but I wasn't really seen or visible in the market. I sort of had a small little community. And in that moment, August of 2014, those first couple of steps that I took to really get visible, here's what I did. I took one single result that I knew I could help people get. And I simply started posting and sharing and emailing and creating videos, doing whatever I could to focus on delivering my message in my way for one result. You don't have to have fancy marketing. You don't have to have a fancy website. If you do, that's great. It's not necessary, though. You just need to be able to communicate what you do. One frickin' result that you know you can help people with. That's it. And do that, through effectively communicating. Those are your first steps. Now, for mapping out an easy to follow plan of action, here's what I recommend. Focus on the month that is in front of you, and focus on the day that you are in at that very moment. I cannot tell you how amazing it was to watch how fast my life transformed from August of 2014 to July 2015. And all I did was focus in the moment, doing what I felt called, where I felt called, who I felt called to connect with, what I felt called to do in that moment. I'm telling you, your creative power and your clearest path is in the moment. So every single morning before you wake up, when you wake up, pay attention to how you feel. Who do you feel called to connect with? Who do you feel called to reach out to? What sort of marketing method do you feel called to try in the moment? And I want you to, for the rest of the year, if we never talk again, if for whatever reason we lose communication, here's what I want you to do. And you can do this for the rest of your life. And I promise you, you will create miracles. Stay in the moment. Where do you feel guided right now? Right here. This is exactly why I'm doing this pop-up webinar. Listen, I could have really used a nap. I'll be honest, I could have really used a nap because I've been going not full steam, but I've been busier in a good way than I normally have been. But this is the process of stepping into more. This is the process of becoming more. You have to do more than you think you can do, and you have to follow those instincts that are pulling you to do something in the moment. And then generally speaking, I want you to take every single month, and I want you at the first of the month or at the end of the previous month, I want you to do sort of a process that we did at the beginning of this webinar, and that is what was painful, what was less than exciting, what was maybe disappointing, what were you happy with, or I'm sorry, what were you not happy with, and then what were you happy with from the previous month. And I want you to every single month go through this process that will help you understand and get clear about where you are and what's going on and what you have to adjust in order to create the results that you're looking for. It really does take intentional living. You have to show up in your life. And every single month, I can guarantee you'll see a theme that comes up in your conversations with your friends, in your experiences with your family, in the coaching clients that you have with clients. Pay attention to that, because that theme will essentially tell you where you are along your journey. And you'll have awakenings, you'll have pieces of information and insights and pieces of wisdom that come to you that you can share with your community. This is how I have gone back to six figures. This is how I've grown my business by over 4,000%. This is how I have kicked ass in the most graceful way in 2015, and I'm going to do 3 times that in 2016. I'm going to 500,000. Now, it's not just about the money for me. For me, it's, how much can I do? How much life force can I allow myself? How much life force can I allow through my life, through my body, through my spirit? How much life can I allow? And one of the easiest ways to understand where you are in that game is to take a look at your money. So for me, it's 500,000. Because you know what? I've never done it before. No one in my family has ever done it. And I just want to see how much life force I can let through me. For what the heck? Why not? So does anyone have any questions? We'll probably wrap up here in just a couple minutes. Did you guys like this content? Lisa says, yes, I love it. Thank you. Do you feel better? I hope so. I hope. Obviously, my intention was to inspire you. So I hope I did that. So Anna says, yes, I enjoyed it. Thank you. Perfect timing. Julie says, yes, thank you. Okay, everyone. So any last questions, feel free to put them in the chat box really quick. Anna says, I feel liberated. Awesome. Yes. That's what I'm looking for. Thank you so much for being a part of the community. Thank you for sharing this free webinar with your community. And, what was the question to ask daily? Lisa says, you can ask yourself daily, but usually what I do daily is I simply allow that day's message to come through me. It's something that I feel deep in my belly, in my solar plexus, in my soul. What is today about? What do I need to accomplish? What do I need to do? Maybe what I was saying was, who do I need to connect with? Who do I need to reach out to? What do I need to say? What's the message? How can I help my community today? I just really, every single morning before I get to my email, before I turn on my computer, I spend probably 5 to 15 minutes. It depends. Sometimes it's 30 seconds because the message is so clear. And I just write it down. And that becomes my focus for the day. And then at the end of every month, I say, what did I like? What didn't I like? Where did I struggle? What do I desire? Where do I want more ease? And then that becomes the driving force for the following month. Okay. All right, Julie, thank you so much. Thank you, Lisa. Okay. Thanks, Anna. Thanks, Stephanie. Bye, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me. By the way, if you are not already, which I think most of you are, in my Facebook community. But if you happen to be listening to this recording, maybe someone sent it to you, go ahead and jump on Facebook. And I'm going to get the link here for you. Go ahead and join my Facebook community, just so we can stay connected. And that is facebook.com/groups/money mindset manifesting. Go ahead and join the community. I really want to build up this community. This is a place where you can, I've basically opened the group. You can post anything you want. I mean, obviously, we're all business owners. So go to facebook.com/groups/money mindset manifesting. Go ahead and join the group, become part of the community. I would love to see you in there. I'd love to be of support to you. And if you want to share this webinar replay, just go ahead and scroll down. You should see some share buttons. And then Stephanie has one last question. How do you deal with comparison analysis? So what is it specifically for you, Stephanie, that comes up for you? Like, whatever. Is it the money? Is it the way she looks? Is it the, maybe it's whatever. She seems like, it's all easy for her. What is it specifically? Let me know in the chat box and I can help you. Oh, Anna, great. Okay, awesome, you joined. Thank you. I'll make sure to look for your request. Okay, so Stephanie says, been going through a lot of that lately, comparing those who are doing better than me in business. Those I think are prettier than me. Yeah, okay, so here's the deal. Listen, I never feel perfect. I mean, listen, I want to have, I totally get that. And there are lots of things, right? I'm not skinny enough, or the bag's under my eyes, or, some stupid thing that doesn't even matter. Listen, none of that crap matters. What matters is your message. It's very interesting because I myself have had moments of two things. Number one, I've had moments where other women are really rocking it, and I'm like, damn, she is like, it seems like it's effortless for her, and people just flock to her. And on other occasions, it's been, man, that really stings, right? That really stings because I want that so bad. And I have to be honest, I don't get jealous. Like, I never look at somebody and go and think, whatever, she's such a bitch for being successful. I never think that. But I do have moments of physical comparison, as well as, those pain points of, man, I really want that. And all I can tell you is that you will learn a lot about yourself when stuff like that comes up, and you really just have to do some digging and just ask yourself, here's what I do. Anytime something comes up when I see somebody else's thing, right? How much money they're making, or how much their community loves them, or, whatever. Here's what I do. I simply ask myself, what is it about me that's causing this to come up? And how do I shift? How do I create a healthy sense of motivation from this? Is essentially what I ask myself. Because ultimately, I'm only concerned with eliminating my pain. I'm only concerned with stepping into ease and flow and purpose and joy and fun. Because for most of my life up until now, it's been, hard work, because that's how I was raised, and I've had to unravel all of that. But ultimately, I would also say that those times when you feel like, man, she's so much further along than I am, and I'm really pissed off about that, that's the time when you get yourself, listen, you put your nose to the grindstone and you get to work. Because ultimately, if you are not where you want to be in life, that should be your wake-up call to get to work. And it will be work in the beginning. It will be work before it becomes easy. And I know that some people in the community, we've had conversations and they're like, but I've been working on this for so long. Well, guess what? Keep working at it. That's all I can say. You don't get, listen, until you die, you don't get to rest. Now, I'm not saying that you want to push yourself or drive yourself into the ground, but you did not give yourself this calling to let it go. You gave yourself this calling because the spiritual you understands that this is possible, and you probably wanted to challenge yourself on some level to do more than you ever have before. And all I can say is there will be times in your life before you break through where, listen, you will have to do more. You won't want to. You'll be tired. But, you got to keep going. And ultimately, that was really, man, I worked to get here. I worked to get here where I am right now. And it's only in the working comes from, listen, you're just trying to work through your limitations. Ultimately, it's you running up against your own stuff. It doesn't have to be work, but it ends up being work because we have all these beliefs and these patterns that we don't even know exist. Number one, we don't even oftentimes know where they come from, but we don't know what they are. We don't know where they're anchored. We don't know how to heal them. We just know that we're stuck and we're in pain. And we're feeling like, I want to be further along. And all I can tell you is if that is what's coming up for you, keep frickin' working. Get in front of more people. Talk to anyone who will listen to you. Literally. I mean that in the most benevolent way. Think about it this way. I actually was talking about this with my mastermind because this has really been coming up a lot for me. As I continue to step into 7 figures, this is a lifelong goal for me. I want 7 figures because it's been a goal since I was a teenager. I remember when my dad was talking to me about, you got to get into a good college, you've got to get a good education because you have to get into a good company so that you can get a good retirement. And the first words out of my mouth, listen, they came straight from soul. It did not even process mentally because after I said it, I was like, whoa, where did that come from? But as he was giving me this lecture about, you got to get a good job, get good grades, get a good job so you can get a good retirement. The first thing out of my mouth was, that's not going to be me. I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to own my own business. I'm going to make $1 million a year. I'm going to travel the world, and I'm going to have 3 homes all over the world: Hawaii, Colorado, and California. Though I still remember those exact words that came out of my mouth. That did not mentally process. That was a soul's calling. That was a soul's message. And I turned 44 last year, and I was like, damn, I still have not accomplished 7 figures a year. What the hell am I doing? That for me was a big wake-up call. So if you have a moment in your life where it was soul talking, right? You know what that feels like. It doesn't process mentally. It is so fast. Those words come out of your mouth so fast. You don't even have time to process them. That's a soul's message. That is your soul's truth. And that is what you should be going for. Anything less than that is BS. Does that make sense? So as I continue to step into this 7-figure thing, the work is not in the work of becoming a millionaire. It's in the work of working through my limitations. That is where your shit is going to show up. Remember that. The work is not in fulfilling your dream. The dream is already done. You just have to step into it. It's the work of working through your limitations that has us thinking, why isn't this happening yet? And why hasn't it happened yet? And why am I working so hard? And she's over there making $4 million a year and taking trips to Italy and showing off. And listen, anytime that stuff comes up, you have to ask yourself, what is stopping me from having that thing that I desire? And whatever comes up for you, then pay attention to it and work through it and transform it or release it or whatever has to happen for you. Does that make sense? Now I'm all fired up. Now I won't go to sleep until like 2 a.m. because I'm all fired up. So is everyone good? I'll give you just a couple of seconds. You're welcome, Stephanie. I hope that helped you. It's work before it's not. That's all I can tell you. Okay. All right, so everyone is good. Thank you, Lisa. Appreciate it. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Anna. Oh, I'm glad that you feel awesome. Thank you so much for being here. Much love, everyone. Thank you for being a member of the community. Love you so much. Really do. Each and every one of you. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Okay, bye for now.